Football is aflame with issues. Like, why did FIFA ruin the greatest award in the game? Has Luis Suarez forever ruined his reputation? And what about those nuts from Brazil? It's not all bad, though. Who's the nicest guy in football?
Hi, welcome to my house.
Burning issues all, and all answered on The Burning Issue. Once a revered honour, now dominated by strikers. Did FIFA ruin the Ballon d'Or? The Ballon d'Or is such a great name for football's highest honour. Ballon d'Oro in Spanish, Pallone d'Oro in Italian, Golden Ball in English. Whatever the language, it stood as the measure of football brilliance for more than 50 years. Until FIFA got their hands on it and turned it into a popularity contest for men in bad jackets. The Ballon d'Or was instituted by the France Football magazine for the European Footballer of the Year in 1956 and awarded to Sir Stanley Matthews.
Stan is popular wherever he goes.
Voted by a wide selection of football journalists, it gained instant credibility with a diverse mix of winners in the first 20 years. Committed legends like Alfredo Di Stefano, Eusebio, and Johan Cruyff. Brilliant larrikins like George Best. One-hit wonders like Joseph Massapost. Those impartial journalists even gave it to defender Franz Beckenbauer twice. And in one incredible year, they gave it to a goalkeeper, the Black Spider, Lev Yashin. FIFA thought this was so good, they decided to implement an award themselves in 1991 and called it the FIFA World Player of the Year. Trouble was, the same players were winning both awards almost every year. So in 2010, they combined them into the FIFA Ballon d'Or. But that meant a change to the voting. No longer impartial, the Ballon d'Or included not just media, but the national team captains and coaches. And while no one doubts the greatness of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, it simply turned into a contest of which striker they preferred.
Amazing, amazing. I expect, to be honest, I was confident to win this trophy.
In the World Cup year of 2010, Iniesta and Xavi were shut out. In 2014, the champion goalkeeper Manuel Neuer didn't have a chance. Even worse, there were blatant displays of favoritism. So after 6 years, France Football took back their award for 2016. Sure, Ronaldo won it again. But how could he not after the Champions League and Euro wins? The point is, the Ballon d'Or again has integrity. And FIFA can still have its dinner for footballers in bad jackets. It's now called the Best Player Awards. Although wouldn't it be better named after Pele, not George Best? More on the Ballon d'Or later in the show. But up next, can we ever forgive Luis Suarez? Football has its share of villains. John Terry for his infidelity, Neymar for his diving, Joey Barton for his flashing. But their offences are pretty run-of-the-mill compared to those of Luis Suarez. See, Luis is a biter. His most recent meal being Italy's Giorgio Chiellini at the 2014 World Cup. There's something about biting that is extra weird and nasty, and it begs the question, will Suarez ever find redemption for his nefarious on-field behaviour? The fact that the Chiellini bite was Suarez's third offence makes it tricky. While with Liverpool in 2013, he'd chomped Chelsea's Branislav Ivanovic. And in 2010, his attack on PSV Eindhoven's Otman Bakau earned him the name the Cannibal of Ajax. These are, of course, woeful. But at a World Cup in front of, you know, the world, it was, dare we say it, completely tasteless. After hilariously claiming he fell into Chiellini teeth first, Suarez eventually admitted that was a lie and apologized. He also attended anger management classes while serving a hefty ban for the offense, so there was at least some effort. There are other forces at play that act in his defense. Suarez grew up in Montevideo in abject poverty, sweeping streets as a kid to bring money into the family home. Just because his career progressed from the mean streets to playing for fancy European clubs and in fancy World Cups didn't mean he could just switch off his hard-edged instincts. The star striker has a backstory to thaw the coldest heart. At 15, Luis met a girl named Balbi, for whom he fell completely head over heels. But in 2003, Balbi's family moved from Uruguay to Barcelona. Suarez has cited this separation as a major motivation for his football career in the European continent. In other words, he became one of the best players in the world so he could go get his girl. They're now married with 2 kids, by the way. Quick, someone get the tissues. In a final twist, Suarez made it all the way to Barcelona, the Catalan club buying him from Liverpool in 2014 for 82 million euros.
The dream of playing for Barca comes from years ago, since I was a kid. Everyone knows the relationship there is between my wife and her family, who live here. The dream of coming here, watching a game and saying, one day I'll have the chance. I never imagined that would happen. So when the chance appeared, I didn't even think about it.
Being surrounded by players like Messi and Neymar meant A, Suarez didn't have to carry a team on his own back, and B, had some checks and balances for his ego.
I'm a very lucky man to be playing for Barcelona and surrounded by these players. Last year, they helped me a lot on and off the pitch, and this year, we have seen we are a team. And nobody thinks he's above anyone else, which is really great and something I value a lot.
Luis's arrival at the club came as the Catalan giant was in trouble. Pep Guardiola had jumped ship to Bayern Munich. Rival clubs had deconstructed Barca's devastating tiki-taka style, and they went without a trophy in 2013-14. Suarez's power at number 9 was just what the doctor ordered. He played a vital role in the Catalans claiming their second treble, and he scored the winner in the 2015 Champions League final against Juventus. In 2015-16, he scored 40 goals in 35 La Liga matches and 59 goals in 53 matches overall, landing the Piccini and Golden Shoe double. But despite his prodigious talent and improved behavior, can we really forgive Suarez? There's a further stain on his record that makes it impossible. In 2011, while with Liverpool, Suarez racially abused Manchester United's Patrice Evra, then refused to shake his hand in a later match. While Suarez has apologized for the biting, he's yet to do the same for the racial insults. With football so high in the public consciousness, having a guy biting his rivals is one thing, but refusing to apologize for racism in the 21st century is beyond reprieve. Oh, and by the way, plenty of players grew up poor and don't bite people. Suarez, it seems, still has a way to go. We all love a bad boy, But they shouldn't get all the attention. Who's football's nicest guy? Football is full of ratbags who seem to get all the headlines. But what about the nice guys? The ones the girls would love to bring home to meet their mums. Who is the Beatles to Luis Suarez's Rolling Stones? It's pretty hard to go past Spanish international Juan Mata.
Hi, welcome to my house. Welcome to London.
With an esteemed career at Valencia, Chelsea and Manchester United, Mata is the little guy with the big heart. No, seriously, he's a little guy. Seen hanging out with Dominic Monaghan here. You know, the dude who played a hobbit in Lord of the Rings. Dominic might actually be taller. Anyway, that's not the point. Come on, we're doing a nice story here. Like we said, a big heart, famous for giving his time to fans. And with a smile that'll melt your heart. He's got class, graciously deflecting weird, inappropriate comments from his coaches.
A lot of times I use the word horny to my players. It's true, isn't it?
If you did say that, how would you react?
Like you. We react like you do.
And he's articulate, even when English is his second language. On his weekly blog, which he devotes to his fans, back in 2014 he responded to violence that broke out in Madrid prior to a game between Atletico and Deportivo. Sadness is incredulity. I can't find the words to describe it. As any other sport, football should help unite, not divide. It's seriously hard to find anything unlikable about Mata. In between responsibilities for club and country, the midfielder devotes enormous amounts of time and money to charity. He's an ambassador of the Laureus Foundation, which aims to help those less fortunate in the community through involvement in sport. And Manchester United chose Mata as their community champion to engage with a range of charities the club supports. Oh, and if you're starting to think Mata might be a bit too sweet in the mouth, think again. He's a mad keen rock music fan. Here on his Twitter page, he's paying tribute to the great Chuck Berry when he passed. He's such a dude. But you might be wondering if the adage, nice guys finish last, applies to Mata. Well, he blows that idea out of the water. Mata's achievements include a Copa del Rey while with Valencia in 2007-8, the FA Cup, Europa League and Champions League trophies with Chelsea, and a second FA Cup with Man United, plus the 2010 World Cup win with Spain. Oh yeah, that blog we mentioned earlier? Mata finishes each post with hugs, by the way. Man, he is possibly the nicest guy in the world, let alone football. Yep, chocolate all the way through. Up next, some will run their blood to water for the team. Who's the hardest working player in the Premier League? Football is full of fancy-pants goal scorers and high-profile pretty boys who get all the attention. But sometimes they only do half the work of some others on the field. There are exceptions. David Beckham, for instance, eventually more famous for his glamorous public image than for his career as a player, had an extraordinary work ethic. This was best exemplified when Becks single-handedly carried England to the 2002 World Cup. Through sheer force of will, he rallied against Greece in their qualifying match, while his teammates went to sleep, then scored that extraordinary last-minute free kick to level and book England a place in Japan and Korea. Today in the Premier League, there are some bone-hard workhorses whose sheer grit and determination is worth celebrating. So let's have a look at the best on offer. At Tottenham, manager Mauricio Pochettino makes sure all his players carry their weight. He's known to run grueling pre-season endurance training sessions, giving Spurs players steam engine fitness, and some thrive in this climate. Star forward Harry Kane is one. Kane's running is outstanding. Where many strikers only cover the penalty area, Kane stalks the entire width of the pitch, a constantly moving target. And his 25 goals in the 2015-16 season, which earned him the Golden Boot, gained him rock star status. But Kane's profile often eclipses another key workhorse for Spurs, Moussa Dembele. Dembele doesn't score many goals, and it doesn't help that his character is shy and retiring. But his 90% passing accuracy and ability to instigate a goal or assist on the back of a tackle is vital. How's this for a stat? During that 2015-16 season, with Kane's 25 league goals, Dembele missed 11 games. And in those games, Kane only managed a single goal. So is it Kane or Dembele we should be celebrating here? Sadio Mane's transfer to Liverpool in 2016 for £34 million made him the most expensive African player in history, but it was worth it. In his very first season, there was a stark difference between a Reds team with the winger and one without him. When Mane was absent, Liverpool's win ratio was only 30%. When he played, it jumped to 71%. Without him, the average goals per game was 1. With him, 2.6. Dawson's work ethic is rivaled only by his modesty. He signed with West Bromwich Albion in 2010 and has been integral in defence ever since. Dawson started every single Premier League game during the 2015-16 season, pouring in heart and soul at right back, and has become an integral component of any West Brom clean sheet returned. But there can be none who compare to French international N'Golo Kante. The midfielder might not be known for scoring goals or assists, but his Energizer Bunny drives and power surges were central to Claudio Ranieri's formula that carried Leicester to the Premier League title in 2016. When Kante moved to Chelsea the next season, his role was filled by a combination of Daniel Amati, Nampalys Mendy, and Wilfred Ndidi. His 24 minutes per tackle were almost twice the rate of the group's most effective, Ndidi, and Kante's 19 minutes per interception left Ndidi's 51 minutes per interception for dead. You need only look at Leicester's tumble to the edge of relegation after Kante left, and Chelsea's stampede to the top of the Premier League table when he arrived, to understand just how integral he was. Kante is king among Premier League workhorses. They play so beautifully, but sometimes lose the plot. So who are the biggest Brazil nuts? If there's one team synonymous with the World Cup, it has to be Brazil. It's not just their record 5 wins, or their status as the only nation to have played at every World Cup. It's their flair, the freedom they have to employ it, the passion with which they ignite it. How can you not love the Brazilians? And yet, if they are to receive our adulation, they must also receive our judgment. And the facts are, well, Brazil isn't perfect. They've had their fair share of nutty moments, and no one is exempt. Not even Leroy, the king of football, Pele. In the minds of Brazilians, Pele could do no wrong, and the great man was always willing to spread himself thin, promoting the game around the world, especially to the young underprivileged. But there's a line, and Pele crossed it when, after a clinic with the young footballers of Kampala in 1976, he met General Idi Amin the butcher of Uganda, who devastated the African Republic with his brutal rule. Pele might not have fully appreciated on his ceremonial tour what a dreadful state the Republic of Uganda was in. But he must have known sitting down with Amin was giving the jerk credibility he didn't deserve. Sorry, Pele, but that was nuts. After Pele, there was Ronaldo, a giant of the world game. Ronaldo is universally acclaimed as a nice guy, easygoing, with a smile on his face. But he does, or at least did, have one weakness. He always was a sucker for a pretty face, like Brazilian supermodel Reika Oliveira, television star and model Susana Werner, who later married Julio Cesar, Ronaldo's first wife, Marlene Dominguez, who was a Brazilian footballer and model, second wife, Daniela Ciccarelli, model, TV star, and DJ, third wife, Bia Anthony, and then into his 40s, Cicely Locks, 15 years his junior, and a model. So let's see. 3 marriages, a few more engagements, a string of other broken romances, and one very embarrassing moment. In 2008, Ronaldo had an infamous run-in with 3 ladies of the night in a hotel in Rio de Janeiro. Unfortunately, when Ronnie discovered that ladies was a technically inaccurate term, he asked them to leave. But the police were called in when one of them tried to extort money from him to keep quiet. We hasten to add, Ronaldo did nothing illegal. But let's just say his fiancée at the time, Bia, threatened to break it off. Although they did patch things up for a while and got married. Unlike romance, though, the newspaper headlines are forever. Ronaldo's big night out. That was nuts. But Pele's politics and Ronaldo's relationships pale against the craziness of Brazil's greatest embarrassment. A hint? It happened on the pitch, and we'll pass our judgment on the biggest Brazil nuts after the break. Brazil has had more glory than most. From the legends of Pele and Garrincha, through Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Robinho, to the modern-day genius of Neymar. And yet, despite that heritage, Brazil's greatest embarrassment came on the field of battle. And it came in the most public forum, at the Estadio do Mineiro in Belo Horizonte, before 58,000 expectant home fans, but with the eyes of the world on them via the modern mediums of television, Twitter, and the net. Admittedly, Brazil went into the 2014 World Cup semi-final against Germany without their great champion Neymar, who suffered a fractured vertebrae in the quarter-final. But no one expected a 7-1 thrashing. That's 7 goals conceded in a World Cup semi-final, at home. The newspaper coverage said it all. Yesterday we understood what shame really is. One paper listed the 7 goals with adjectives: shame, discouraged, sadness, anger, pain, disappointment, embarrassment. It's been hailed the worst loss ever in football. 7-1 in a World Cup semi. That's nuts. At the top of the show, we mentioned how the Ballon d'Or lost its credibility when it became the FIFA Ballon d'Or. Why? Well, it's because the last people you want voting on a football award are the footballers. They just vote for their mates and don't vote for their rivals. For example, in the last year the award was combined. Argentina's captain Lionel Messi left Ronaldo out of his top 3 and voted for 3 Barca teammates. And Portugal captain Ronaldo left Messi out of his, voting for 3 Real teammates. Even worse, Poland's Robert Lewandowski could squeeze neither champion in, voting instead for 3 Bayern Munich teammates. What a joke!